For a few weeks now, I've been feeling like I'm going to be up against a big battle, and I've been saying it, it's coming, and I didn't really know what that was. I didn't know why I was saying it, but I just felt like something was coming, something was gonna happen. I've been saying that a lot lately too in the last several weeks, and with the experiences that I've had, throughout Elias's battle, none of this has been easy. And I've been praying and praying, and I've had many sleepless nights, many. I haven't been able to sleep, and I keep thinking, and sometimes I'm searching for something, and I don't know what it is. I just keep searching, and then researching, right? I'm trying to figure it out, and I can't. Yesterday, I took Elias to his appointment, his follow-up appointment from his last hospital visit, and we were waiting for a long time. Everybody was behind their schedule. All the doctors were behind on their schedule, and when we got there, Elias did his CBCs, his blood work, and routine labs. And we sat in the waiting room where we normally only wait like 20 minutes after labs. We had been sitting there for like 2 hours. Elias was hungry, so I went and I asked, the front desk, can I take him to go get something to eat really quick? And if the room or doctor becomes available, call me. So she went and asked the back office, the medical assistants and nurses back there, if it would be okay. And they said, yes, go ahead. So Elias and I went to go get something to eat really quick. And then when we got back, his room was ready. And so the doctor, she starts doing her physical examination and routine stuff, asking him questions and how he's feeling. Has he experienced any, symptoms, and, questions like that, and he told her, I feel great. I haven't experienced any symptoms. And then she looked at me for confirmation, and I said, well, yeah, he's doing really good, other than he's extremely fatigued. And she said, okay, that's normal. And so she turns to him and she says, you gave us a really huge scare, and we were really worried about you this last hospital visit, and we're doing everything in our power to ensure that you don't go through that again. So she starts explaining that they want to proceed with treatment, and the same treatments that he's been receiving these last couple of times. And she told him, we want to try this other drug, nivolumab, in combination with brentuximab. He's had both. He's had reactions to both. And she's telling him why she believes that they would work for him. She explains how he still currently has, the supercharged T cells that were, infused to him when we were in Seattle. She's explaining all of this, and she says, but I understand that you felt pressured into having the last treatment, and we don't want you to feel that way. She says, we want you to be a part of the decision making, and we want you as comfortable as possible. And I'm just wondering, what what is it? Is it something maybe you possibly don't understand? We're not trying to hurt you. We're trying to help you feel better. And she goes, so is there anything that possibly I could do to help you to ease your mind and why this would be good for you? And Elias did something that he's never done before. And he's always said, science isn't the answer. He's always told me everything's going to be okay. He's always told me that. And the few times that he has told the doctors, I don't want treatment, it's almost like he holds back. And so yesterday when she asked him, he sat up straight on the patient's bed. He sat up straight. He corrected his demeanor, and he looked her dead in the eye, and with a firm, strong voice, he told her, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I do not want treatment, and you're not going to convince me of otherwise. And I'm going to explain to you why I don't want treatment. And while I'm sitting there listening to him, I'm fighting back my tears because I feel and hear the pain in his voice. So he continues and he says, you've already told me that I no longer have curative options. So in my mind, what that actually means is that you will never take away my cancer. The whole time I've been taking on treatment, and excuse my language for saying this, but it has made me feel like shit. It hasn't helped me. I feel like shit the whole time. So if it's not going to take away the cancer and it's making me feel like crap, why am I doing it? He says, it has changed me. Treatment has changed me. Physically, emotionally, and mentally. It even changed my cancer. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and now my cancer is gray zone lymphoma. It changed. Treatment changed it. And you could feel like, you could feel this presence. You could feel this just huge presence within us, and he's shaking and he's holding back these tears, and he's very just confident and just declaring it, and he didn't hold back. For the first time, he didn't hold back. He told her, you're telling me that these treatments will prolong my life, but that's not true. It's not up to any of you. It's not up to treatment. It's not up to my team, my medical team. It's not up to any of you. It's only up to God how long I will live. It's only up to Him. I believe that He has healed me. I believe that. So no, I'm not going to take on any more treatment. It's completely pointless. It's not helping me at all. It's taken away from me. And I'm done. the doctor's face at that moment, she just was like her jaw just dropped, and she proceeded and she said, okay, I understand, and I'm so sorry that you have felt like crap during treatment, and I wish there was a way for us to remove all of that, but it has helped you, and ultimately your mom has the ultimate medical decision. And she looked over at me at that moment. And boy, if I could describe that feeling, I honestly felt like the enemy was talking to me. I honestly felt like when she turned and looked at me and she put it on me to say something, that ultimately it's my decision. Medically, I am the one to decide for him. And this has happened throughout his whole battle. It's always up to me. But for that moment, that very moment, when she looked at me, I remember I looked down and it almost scared me. And I told her, I told her, I shook it off and I looked up at her and I told her, what I'm about to say is hard. And there's a very small part of me that has hope. And I want to believe. I want to believe that science will take care of him. But it hasn't. I want to believe so badly, though. It's just a small part. I said, but it hasn't. And so what I'm going to tell you is something that we all need to understand and be on the same page. I want you to be on the same page with us. I need you to be on the same page with us. But first I have a question. And she said, yeah, okay. And I said, and I'm sorry for having to backtrack a little bit, but it will all make sense. It all makes sense to me now. And I said, when Elias went to Seattle and he had the T-cell therapy, there was a couple months where nothing happened. Actually, cancer progressed. I said, but there was 1 month that there was, we celebrated, and I remember this feeling. You told me, this is a moment of victory. This is a small moment and we must celebrate it. It was a time when you told me that necrosis was found in a few of his tumors, the large tumors, that necrosis was found inside. And she said, yes, that's right. And I said, so is necrosis still present today in those same tumors? And she said, yes, they are. And I said, is it only in those tumors or is it anywhere else? And she said, no, it's only in those tumors. And I said, was that the intent of the T-cell therapy? Was that the intention, to have necrosis? Was that something that was supposed to happen? Or did necrosis come from an infection? And she looked at me and she said, I'm not following. And I said, again, did necrosis happen? Is that what was supposed to happen by receiving the T-cell therapy? Or did it develop through something else? And she said, well, necrosis is a good thing. And I said, well, not always. Necrosis, it cell death, it kills cells. I go, but there's also a risk factor to it. So since the necrosis is in the tumor, is there any possibility that it could get outside of the tumor and attack him on the outside of those tumors? Is there a risk to it? And she said, no. Necrosis, yes, causes cellular death, but it also stops cancer from growing. And I said, that's not true. Necrosis doesn't stop progression, and that's already happened. Like, progression has happened, so it's not stopping progression. It doesn't stop cancer cells from growing. Reality is, we don't have cancer cells. None of us have cancer cells, and we have been led to believe that we all have cancer cells. And I've said this many times. I've said, we all have cancer cells. And when Elias was first diagnosed, I remember asking, where did the cancer come from? How did it develop? And I was told, I don't know. That's one of the mysteries of the world. That nobody knows how cancer grows. But we all have cancer cells. And I said, here's what's wrong. We don't have cancer cells. Cancer happens because something in our bodies isn't working properly. So there's necrosis, which can be man-made, and it can develop from treatment, or it can happen through infection. So that's why I question, where did necrosis come from? Necrosis, and to a certain point, was necessary, right? Because we know that it can kill cancer cells. It kills all cells, reality. So, the victory in that was, oh, yes, it's going to kill the cancer. But the reality of it is that there's a risk to that. And if it's not contained, and if it's not treated, it could potentially kill Elias. The difference with necrosis and apoptosis, which is what's supposed to happen in our bodies, which is a natural process, a program that is supposed to happen in us, is that apoptosis will never kill Elias. Never. And she tells me, I think you need to not focus so much on necrosis or apoptosis. And I said, well, you're right. I probably shouldn't. But you should. The focus should be on that. Because apoptosis is a natural process that is supposed to happen to our bodies. Apoptosis is where your cells divide and die. We have hundreds of millions of cells. And all of these cells die. They're supposed to die. Well, here's the situation of Elias. Apoptosis is not happening correctly in his system. And that's why he has cancer. So apoptosis doesn't happen. So it's his cells aren't dying. His cells are not dividing the way they should, and they're not dying. They're just there, and they're multiplying, and that's what causes cancer. That's how cancer is created. It's not that we have cancer cells. It's our cells, our natural cells, just growing because they're not dying. The same thing happens to all the other autoimmune diseases that develop. And here's the thing, where Elias has developed cancer because the cells are not dying. Here are other people that have developed autoimmune diseases like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, fibromyalgia. And the reverse happens, where apoptosis is happening too much and it's killing, the cells are dying prematurely. But apoptosis is an important thing in us. It's something that we all need to understand. And see, you want me to remove my focus away from that, but your focus should be on that. And I'm here to explain this to you so that you can understand where Elias is coming from. Apoptosis is a natural thing. Just like the blood flows through our veins, our heart pumps, our mind works. Our eyes are able to see. My ears are able to listen and hear. My mouth is able to speak. There's this natural process that cannot be explained by man, cannot be explained by science. It's this process. Well, apoptosis is that. It's a natural thing. And I'm here to tell you so that you could have a better understanding as to why Elias is in this position. He's taking a stand. If apoptosis cannot be recreated by man and cannot be recreated scientifically, there will never be a cure to cancer. There will never be a cure to Parkinson's disease. There will never be a cure to Alzheimer's. There will never be a cure to fibromyalgia and all those autoimmune diseases that are happening in the world. There will never be a cure because you cannot understand what apoptosis is and you cannot recreate it scientifically. So what are you doing to us? These treatments that create necrosis, which you wanted me to celebrate, and it has created all these things where Elias has had 3 near-death experiences. All these drugs that have been infused in his body and flowing through his veins. You want me to believe, you want him to believe that there's a cure, that he will be cured. But you can't. It's not natural. It's not something that man can control. So what Elias is telling you, that only God can heal him, only God can say when his life will end. I'm here to tell you that I'm in 100% agreement with him. I am fully supportive of my son when he says I no longer want treatment. Because as I sit here and I'm telling you this, I understand that you don't know. I've been told for almost 2 years, we don't know. Our lives have been robbed. His joy has been taken away. His childhood has been taken away. And I'm not willing to continue to do that for him anymore. I want to enjoy every moment. And my son is telling you he feels great right now. He feels great. And I want to own that. I want to continue to have him feel that way. And I'm going to do everything I can. I'm trying to do everything I can to give him that joy. I want to be happy with him. I want to enjoy this because tomorrow isn't promised to any of us. I don't want you killing him slowly. He's right. Only God can say. Only God can heal him. And so she tells me, and she was like angry. And she tells me, science is not where it needs to be. I get it. It's not. There's a lot of just missing pieces. There's so many missing pieces and we don't understand. We don't get it. And yes, I want to be able to take all of that away from Elias, and I want him to feel good, and we want to cure cancer. And you're right. After all these years, it hasn't been found. Right. She told me, no, we cannot recreate apoptosis. We cannot. We haven't. And she says, but okay, let's regroup. Let's come back to this in 3 weeks. Let's think about it, because I do believe that there's treatments that will help him. I said, okay. Let's come back in 3 weeks and we'll talk about this again. Okay. So she tells us that there was one more lab test that we needed to do because they didn't, the lab when we first got there didn't have the kit, and it was for the study that Elias is still a part of. he has to give blood every so often. So, and they test his blood. We never see those results, but it's a process that has to happen. And she tells us, like, wait in the waiting room. And she tells me, I'll see you again in 3 weeks. I said, all right. So we stare in the waiting room. We're sitting there, and Elias fell asleep. And this lady, the receptionist, the front desk lady, comes up to me, and she says, Jackie, can I talk to you? And I said, yeah. And she says, I had this strong presence, and I had it in my heart to come and talk to you. I needed to talk to you. She goes, this is the 3rd time I see you today. The first time, I even told you you looked so much taller. And your response was, oh yeah, it's because of my shoes. I'm wearing 3-inch boots. And she's like, but that's not what I meant. I said, what I meant was you, on a spiritual level, were taller. And she goes, there was a presence about you and Elias when you walked in, and it was just amazing. It was just beautiful. You gave me goosebumps, and I felt the Holy Spirit. She goes, I felt, and it was so strong. And she goes, you have that, you're carrying it. It's just wrapped around you. Jackie, I'm looking at you and I just want to cry because it's just such a beautiful thing. It's this beautiful feeling. It's this peace and love. And she goes, Jackie, I have it in my heart. I saw you 3 times and I could get fired for doing this, but I have it in my heart to come and tell you to continue doing what you're doing, to continue to trust in God and believe in his promises to you. Continue to tell them no, that it is not up to them. That's something that cannot be created by man. Something as natural as our bodies cannot be created by man. You need to believe that. Continue believing that. Continue believing and trusting in the Lord. And she's telling me this, and I said, Did you hear what happened in the meeting today? She goes, no, absolutely not. That is not for me to know. I don't know anything other than he has cancer, because this is what we do here. I don't know anything, but it was in my heart to tell you. She goes, I saw you this morning when you walked in, and there's just this light, this beautiful light. And then I saw you again for the 2nd time in the cafeteria, and I wanted to come and tell you something, but something was holding me back. Something was holding me back. And finally, right now, this was the 3rd time that I saw you, and I just said no. That is the devil trying to tie my tongue and hold me back from telling you. But I have it in my heart to tell you that what you're doing. Continue doing what you're doing, because it's good. Continue believing. Continue believing. And she goes, Jackie, I just want to hug you. Can I hug you? And I said, yes. And so she hugged me, and I said, thank you. Thank you. She goes, yes, just continue doing what you're doing. You're going the right direction. It's okay. You're doing everything you're supposed to do. And then I said, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And I'm praying and I'm thanking God. I'm thanking Jesus. And I was just like, thank you. And then Elias gets called in. I wake him up because he had fallen asleep. I wake him up, and the nurse is calling us so that he could do his other labs. And I followed him this time, where the first time I didn't. I followed him because I was overwhelmed, And so I followed him, and, the nurse is setting up her area, and she tells me, Jackie, I have it in my heart to tell you to continue doing everything that you're doing. She goes, I have no idea why I'm telling you this, but I have it in my heart to tell you that you need to continue to believe in God's promises to you. Continue believing that. Continue to love and praise him. Continue. You're doing everything you're supposed to. Just continue. She goes, I'm not supposed to tell you that. I can't. I shouldn't. She goes, and I have no idea why I'm saying this, but it's in my heart to tell you. I said, oh my God, thank you so much. I received 2 affirmations within minutes. it's what I needed, because like I said, when I was talking to the doctor for a quick moment, I held back, and then I didn't. I was awakened, and I told her what I needed to tell her. And so when we walked out of Stanford, I look over at Elias and I said, give me a hug. And so I'm hugging him tight. And he tells me, Mom, this is it. This is it. And I said, yeah, baby, you've been telling me all along. You've been telling me all along that it's okay. He said, yeah, Mom, this is it. I wholeheartedly believe that even though my son has suffered and endured so much throughout this process, I wholeheartedly believe that my baby had to get to this point, because I promise you, I can't even tell you how any of this, how I was able to speak to this doctor, how I went and I told her, because I promise you, I've never even researched it. I've done so many researches, to how to help my son on a natural level, how to help his immune system, boost his immune system naturally. I've done all these research. I've researched, about the drugs, the chemo that was going to be infused in him. I've researched, and, every time I had to sign those papers, it was a difficult, oh my God, it was a difficult thing, because I knew it was gonna hurt him, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Because we have no say, and all I have is to trust in God. That's all I have, is to trust in Him and believe that He will heal my son. My faith has to be present. Yesterday was an amazing day, and I know our battle is far from over. And I thank God. I thank God every day. I thank Him for always being there. I felt His presence yesterday. I feel it now. It's just, I can't completely put it all in words, but I do believe that we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay, and I'm gonna enjoy every moment that I can. I'm gonna keep fighting and pushing and keep going, trying to make my son happy. I'm gonna keep going. It's going to be okay. Like Elias has been saying all along, it's going to be okay. It's okay, Mom. It's okay. He's known. It'll be okay. It's gonna be okay.